Welcome to my tree, Arts and Prints. My name is Rosemary. I'm here with Bucky today. This would be our second or third restart on this. We were having some technical difficulties, which was mostly my fault. That's fine. Some of it was through Facebook and the lagginess. So instead of doing a live, we're going to do a recording. I do have the desktop audio turned on so that you can hear people talk through that on the desktop this time. Um, and what we have today is Bucky's a few stories from Tales from the Winds of Time. If you'd like to jump into his Discord, I will put the links on there. He has multiple Discords, but the two that we're reading from are in Chief's Sundance and Chief's Powwow. These are story collections that are him formulating when he talks to people, if I'm correct. And
Yes, true.
yes, and so a lot of them are also told. They're told in the way that your grandmother taught you. Is that correct too?
Yeah. There the way that I was taught to tell a story was that you're supposed to keep it open-ended so that you don't like tell people, "Oh, well, this is the meaning of the story." They can take the story and then give their own perspective on it. So, yeah.
So,
Which,
and then the way, like we were just talking about previously in the other recording of this before it got technical difficulties on my end, how that when you talk to somebody, you're in that creative mode. Like,
yeah,
like
taking bits of what you tell me. Well, if you like send me a message or we talk on here or whatever, I'm taking little bits and pieces and being like, oh, well, I could incorporate that into a story and then I can take it to somebody else and then tell them the story. And then they could be like, oh, I relate to that situation, you know?
so again, and you were saying how hard it was sometimes, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, I can understand that, and I know a few people do as well. Is that when they're talking, a lot of times it's not saying not being grounded. It's more that we're seeing at an expanded point of view or perception to see how all the strings are put together. So for somebody who's not in that expanded scope, can look very non-grounded to other people. Um, Sometimes it ruins the experience, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're getting more experiences out of just one.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
so the
like
way
I'm not paying attention, but I am paying attention.
There you go, right? We're here, but we're half here. We're somewhere else as well, right? We're all in it together. All our self is there, but we're just expanded out. Like half your body's walking underneath the ocean, the other half is up in the clouds.
Yes.
So the way I have it set up on here, I know my, I still have the little head on the bottom, the little bobbing head that you can see me talking and the camera on there. I would like to set it up, and I had said it before, maybe something visual that other people could get involved in, fireplace, something along those lines. The only thing that I did is normally some people like to listen to people talking or watching people talking, so I put my head on there. I'm going to actually turn the camera off so we can listen to you tell the story, and then I'll change this all around, and we will take comments when we post this on Facebook. It will go through YouTube as well, or anywhere else anybody would like to post it. And then, like I was asking before, where can we find your book Tales on the Winds of Time? And you said that next year you have another one coming out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and there is one other, like anywhere where you can buy a book online, you could get a physical copy basically. And then it's available on iOS, so if you have a iPhone or iPad, you could buy it on there on the bookstore. Or if you have a Kindle or an Android phone, it's available on there.
Awesome. Okay, so the four stories that we have are the ancient one. I feel like I said this a bunch of times because we did this a few times. So the ancient one, we have the Great Storm, the Bluebird and the Coyote rework, and we have Comrades. And these stories do very much connect with each other, although all of your stories very much connect together anyway. I see that as well. And I feel that in this time that we're going through, with everything going on in the world, everything that people are perceiving, that a lot of these stories that we kind of picked out are good to teach more on or give a perspective on something that is multiple perspectives, not just one. So without
Yeah.
further ado, I will let you tell the story.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is, well, thank you for listening. This is the ancient one. Ancient one sat in the shade of his tree in front of his cave. Red people came to him, and he said to red people, "Tell me your vision." And red people answered, "The elders have told us to pray in this manner and that manner, and it is important that only we pray as we have been taught, for this has been handed down to us by the elders." Hmm, said the ancient one. Then black people came to him, and he said to black people, "Tell me your vision." And black people answered, "Our mothers have said to go to this building and that building and pray in this manner and that manner. And our fathers have said to bow in this manner and that manner when we pray. And it is important that we pray only, that we do only this when we pray." Hmm, said the ancient one. Then yellow people came to him, and he said to yellow people, "Tell me your vision." And yellow people answered, "Our teachers have told us to sit in this manner and that manner, and to say this thing and that thing when we pray. And it is important that we only do this when we pray." Hmm, said the ancient one. Then white people came to him, and he said to white people, "Tell me your vision." And white people answered, "Our book has told us to pray in this way and that way, and do this thing and that thing, and it is very important that we do this when we pray." Hmm, said the ancient one. Then ancient one spoke to the earth and said, "Have you given the people a vision?" And the earth said, "Yes, a very special gift for each one, but the people were so busy speaking and arguing about which way is right, they could not see the gift I gave each one of them." And the ancient one asked same question of water and fire and air, and got the same answer. Then ancient one asked animal and bird and insect and tree and flower and sky and moon and sun and stars and all the other spirits, and each one told him the same. The ancient one thought this was very sad. He called red people, black people, yellow people, and white people to him, and said to them, "The ways taught to you by your elders and your mothers and fathers and teachers and books are sacred. It is good that you respect those ways, for they are the ways of your ancestors. But the ancestors no longer walk on the face of Mother Earth. You have forgotten your own vision. Your vision is right for you, but no one else. Now each of you must pray for your own visions and be still enough to see them so you can follow the way of the heart. It is a hard way. It is a good way." The end. That,
So I like that story because the it's talking about the many different perspectives and how you're saying like everything is one way or this way and that way, and they're just as important, but it is the connection with spirit, with everything else, with nature, with source itself, that is the connecting point for each person, and how which way is not really every single way can be in a way correct, but
yeah.
it is for those on that path in that way, and yet don't lose the unity sense of this, if I'm perceiving that correctly. How do you see it?
Yeah. It could also be seen as like when somebody's telling, well, you know how most people, when you try to tell them something that you think is important, they don't really listen, and then they only pick up on, "Oh, well, that's meant for me, so I should go and tell everybody that's the way that it's supposed to be done," without thinking, "Oh, well, maybe that other person was taught to do it a completely their own sort of way." So
Yes.
you trying to overspeak somebody's vision or how they were meant to do something is could be harmful to
I
not only them but to you also, because
you are putting what you're doing is, and that's kind of what we were seeing, is that you're putting the way the that your way is the only way to be able to do something over the top of somebody else's experience perception, and
yeah,
allowing them to actually have that experience. So I do see that a lot, even in today's. That's a lot of stuff that we get, which is haha discord between people because
Yeah.
they're very much imposing how they think something should be done or should be looked at instead of allowing the experience to unfold. And also, like you said, taking the one piece as being the one truth, right? We have a lot of different ideologies that are clashing because people think it's the one way, and
Yeah.
it invalidates anybody else on their current experience and experiences they've had or history of experience from them, what they learned, how they awakened, how they are in touch with spirit, source, nature, all of it. And I think the thing here would be like to bring balance in for people because there is a balance and there is the beauty between all of those perspectives.
Yeah. Because in order to see the vision that was given to you, you have to be silent, like he said in the story, be still enough to listen and actually understand that vision and know that it's basically a present for you to teach you how to enjoy your aspect on life.
Yes, it's being like the present, the now. The gift is
Yeah.
the present. It's now. So yes, I do like that story. It's one of the I I have to be honest. I am the one that kind of picked out some of the stories you asked this morning. So, and I started these kind of flow together, and the ancient one happened to be one that really struck me actually a few months ago. So, as people are like we're talking about coming into this unity consciousness, it's respecting that as we are all source here in this construct, that every perspective then therefore is a gift and valid. And so to respect even just every aspect of it, every detail of it, because it is important. So, and if it's not something, we don't have to assign a value purpose to it, just is. It has its
Yeah.
purpose value already.
Because in a way, somebody sharing their perspective with you is a present to you because they really they're taking time out of their day or their little experience here to actually tell you what they think about what's going on around them, giving you perspective on what they see and feel and all that.
Yeah, because in the process of learning how, like we see that even in the computer realm with AI, the way the AI learns is through the experiences. And it doesn't have to physically experience it. A lot of the data sets for computers are put together through other people's experiences, what they're reading online, what is the computer reading, how is it learning, right? So through those multiple perspectives is how it's formulating ideas, thoughts, consciousness. So it is a gift. It is a gift to be able to hear it. It is a gift to be able to experience it, even if I'm not, and then able to see a different perspective on it because we get to learn. Without actually having to go through the experience, we get gain the wisdom from actually just connecting with each other and
Yeah.
not having that judgment, right?
Yeah.
So, thank you for that one. Would you like to read the next one?
You said the Great Storm, right?
Yes.
Okay. The Great Storm. You know, I wrote this at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Did you know that?
I would think so. Normally, your greatest works are done at early in the morning, middle of the night, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever time is.
What is time?
I couldn't tell you because it's an illusion. It's a construct
Most
of
of
humans.
it was we could say it's a time when most people would be asleep, but yeah, some of us are up creating
Right.
stuff that should impact people for millennia. Okay, this is the Great Storm. Once upon a time, in the vast and sweeping plains of North America, there existed a tribe of Plains Indians known as the Swift Wind Tribe. They were a people deeply connected to the land, living in harmony with the rhythms of nature. However, one winter, a bitter cold descended upon the land, and the snow fell unceasingly, blanketing the earth in a thick, icy shroud. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the tribe found themselves facing the harshest winter they had ever known. The game were scarce, the once lush grasslands were buried beneath the snow, The tribe's food supply dwindled, and the people grew weary and disheartened as they struggled to endure the relentless cold. Despite the hardship, the tribe's elders, led by a wise and venerable chief named Grey Wolf, called upon the strength and resilience of their people. They gathered around the flickering warmth of the central fire in the long house, and there, in the glow of the firelight, they shared stories of endurance and survival passed down through the generations. One such story was that of the Great Blizzard, a time, a tale of a time long ago when the tribe had faced a similarly severe winter. The story spoke of how, through perseverance, unity, and the guidance of their ancestors, the tribe had weathered the storm and emerged even stronger. As the days stretched on, the tribe drew inspiration from these stories, found solace in their shared history, and the knowledge that they were not alone in their struggle. They banded together, sharing what little they had and offering each other support in the face of adversity. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the grip of winter began to loosen, the snows gradually receded, and the first signs of spring emerged. The land thawed, the grasslands began to stir with new life. The tribe rejoiced, celebrating the return of warmth and abundance. Gathered once more around the central fire, Chief Grey Wolf spoke to his people, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. My brothers and sisters, he began, we have endured the fiercest of winters, and through our unity and resilience, we have prevailed. Just as our ancestors fa- faced hardship with strength and courage, so too have we proven our endurance and fortitude. He continued, let this winter be a reminder to us all that even in the darkest of times, we are never truly alone. Together, we can weather any storm and emerge stronger for having faced it. As the land reawakens, let us carry the spirit of unity and perseverance with us, knowing that we are bound by the strength of our shared history and the love we have for one another. And so the Swiftwind tribe embraced the changing season with renewed hope and the deepened sense of community, carrying with them the enduring wisdom of their ancestors and the knowledge that no matter the challenges they may face, they would always find comfort and strength in each other. The end.
I do like that one too, so they do fit together as we are in the northern hemisphere here heading into the winter months. And like we're seeing in current way things are going within society and economic systems, there's a lot of scarcity being perceived. So
Yeah,
the best strength we have is with each other. And again, that whole with the ancient one, we're watching as the more that we actually come together in the commonness of what we're living in unity and sharing and being a community about all of this, is that is where the strength comes, perseverance, and in, like you said, the history loving stories, that is where we come together. So even if people or other groups are trying to tear us or separate us apart, finding the unity to still be able to be a human, to share, to have compassion is something that's great and actually carries people through these dark times or winter times or any times that they're struggling through.
yeah. Then you could also look at it as that story was carried by somebody who actually experienced that storm that the story was about. And so that just shows how that story could not only inspire that person to carry on that story, but also know that that story was going to inspire the tribe in the future to be like, well, this is what we went through, so there's no reason why you couldn't carry forward and survive through what happened to us.
Yes, learning that perseverance. I do like that it's so okay. Wind, swift wind. Is this? still, is that an actual tribe that has gone forth, or is it based off of a few different tribes?
Basically, I wanted to like because you know how there's some tribes that live in the plains that actually experience snow, but there's really not any like story about them having to go through that. So
Hmm.
I was like, well, I can write a story that, to where that would actually happen and then be like, well, um, then inside that story, tell another story about a similar situation and how that would inspire everybody to be like, well, we can get through this because our ancestors got through this.
Again, it's
So that
really an inspiring. Yes, it makes sense. It's an inspiring story because it's like, well, you can definitely give honor to the ancestors, even grandma, grandpa, great great grandmother, right? Even our parents, because how much of a struggle did they go through to even get us to be here to be able to speak on this? And then
yeah,
if they're able to weather that and then also teach that hey, this this we can survive through, and not with a way of like greed or fear, but we can survive through it in a way that is from learning, from wisdom, with calmness, with working together. So, like like it says, it teaches perseverance. And I was wondering, just because it does, it's I know how you work. It sounds very much like a lot of different stories put together, a lot of different tribes that have hardships, or peoples in general, or communities, or small places. And like I said, even what we're going through now, there's a lot of even smaller communities that are going through a lot of these hardships. And it's like, okay, keep in mind though that history of where, where that struggle was starting from, they got through it, so we have a chance here, so we also can do that too.
yeah.
I like that. Thank you. All right, so what was the next one? Bluebird and Coyote. For some reason,
Yeah, they're retelling Bluebird and Coyote.
I do like the retelling. I like the original, but I do like what you've added to the retelling as well. All right.
Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, this is Bluebird and Coyote, a retelling. Once upon a time, in a vast and vibrant land, there lived a clever coyote and a beautiful bluebird. Coyote was known for his cunning nature and sharp wit, while Bluebird was admired for her brilliant feathers and sweet songs. Their worlds were separate, yet their paths would soon intertwine in a tale of friendship, greed, and the balance of nature. One day, Coyote, wandering through the meadows, caught sight of Bluebird perched on a branch, singing a melody that floated like the gentle breeze. Mesmerized by her beauty and song, Coyote devised a plan to capture her. He thought that if he could keep Bluebird close, he would never grow bored and would always have her enchanting music to enjoy. Coyote approached Bluebird pretending to be friendly. Oh, dear Bluebird, your voice is the most beautiful I have ever heard. You should come and sing for me every day, he said, using his charm to persuade her. Bluebird, wise and cautious, replied, I appreciate your kind words, Coyote, but I am free and must roam the skies. My song belongs to the world, not just to one creature. Frustrated but determined, Coyote offered her a deal. What if I give you the finest seeds and the coziest nest? You could live with me and I would take care of you. Bluebird considered this, but sensing Coyote's ulterior motive, I cherish my freedom more than any comfort you can offer. I must remain free to fly and sing for all to hear. Seeing that his plan was failing, Coyote grew desperate. He decided to trick Bluebird. He spread rumors among the other animals that a great danger was approaching, one that only he could protect her from. Hearing this, Bluebird felt a pang of worry for her safety. After much thought, she reluctantly agreed to seek Coyote's protection. Coyote was thrilled, but soon revealed his true nature. Instead of protecting Bluebird, he sought to keep her trapped, feeding her lies and keeping her away from her true home in the sky. Days turned into weeks, and Bluebird grew sad, her songs fading as she lost her spirit. One night, during a deep yearning, feeling a deep yearning for freedom she once had, Bluebird hatched a plan of her own. She decided to play along with Coyote's games, but secretly sought help from the other animals. With the help of Wise Owl and Brave Rabbit, they devised a way to show Coyote the error of his ways. Together, they created an illusion of danger, setting up a scene that would make Coyote believe a great storm was coming. As Coyote rushed to protect Bluebird, he stumbled into the trap laid by the animals. When he realized he was outsmarted, Coyote felt a wave of shame wash over him. Bluebird seized the moment. Coyote, your greed has blinded you to the beauty of freedom. I am not a possession to be kept. I belong to the skies and the songs of the world. If you truly cared for me, you would let me go. With a heavy heart, Coyote understood the truth in her words. He had let his desires cloud his judgment and had nearly lost the most precious thing of all, friendship. Acknowledging his mistakes, he released Bluebird, allowing her to soar into the night sky. As she flew high above the land, her song returned sweeter and more vibrant than ever. Coyote watched with a mixture of regret and admiration in his heart. He learned that true love means letting go, and that the beauty of life lies in freedom and the bonds we share. From that day forward, Coyote became a protector of the wild, helping other animals and spreading the lesson of friendship and freedom. Bluebird continued to sing her enchanting songs, reminding all who listened of the importance of being true to oneself and the value of freedom. And so, in the harmony of nature, the stories of the stories of Coyote and Bluebird lived on, echoing through the valleys and skies, teaching generations and teaching generations a balance between love and freedom. The end.
Awesome story. Um, a lot of similarities of certain events that probably many of us have gone through. And also, I like to talk about the, because you can take each aspect, you can take the whole as entirety as it is, but like you said, freedom and friendship, um, balance between those, love of it, but also the kind of like the gilded cage. It's nice to sit inside the cage and be comfortable within it and have seed and be comforted for, but what are you starving that person from doing, from accomplishing by by keeping them in a comfortable trap, even in a way? We see that in society, is the way that people are into their comfort zones or have their identities brought into just one aspect of something. um, they don't want to venture out and enjoy that freedom, especially when you're authentic in yourself, that there is really is no fear. You are then truly free, because fear is the thing that keeps people chained into that, chained into or caged in, right?
Yeah.
What else did you want to touch on in it?
Well, it could be seen as Coyote wanted the beauty and the songs or the comfort of the songs or the just the melody of the songs for himself so that he was only seeing it from, well, if I have this then it will only be um, be useful or enrich my life or whatever, not thinking how him only being the one to experience the songs would impact not only everybody else and or but also Bluebird, because she wouldn't be able to be free, and it would basically trap that song part of her into that cage or whatever he had her in. even though she was probably taken care of, that part of her was being ignored. And that's why the songs weren't as vibrant or as flowy or as inventive as what they was when she was free.
That is definitely understood. Um, Again, it would be taking care of, or even the just self care of a person, because self care doesn't always equate to just even the comfortability of a home or whatnot. What one person thinks is love or the basic needs of a person, another person, and puts that on another person, isn't always what that person is required, or even who they are. So they're
Yeah,
seeing it from their sole perspective of, hey, I see this, I see Bluebird, I see a person, I see this, um, and I want to preserve that happy part of them, but understanding where that comes from. It's also when you capture light or anything that is shining on an authentic person and you put it in a bottle, you therefore only have it in that bottle. You only have it in that room, in that which you're keeping it in, instead of allowing it to do its natural purpose, just like the sun is to shine, to nourish.
yeah,
So definitely, definitely could relate to that in a few of the stories I've lived through, experiences wise. So, um, and thank you for retelling that one as well. I do like the aspect of the owl and the rabbit, because even owl represents the intuitive or intuition part, right? The night, the emotions, the
yeah,
shadow part, and then rabbit is usually swift moving, very fast, right? In a way, very clever, and can be very dutiful when they're doing their job. Like if they're out there eating, they're out there eating, right? That's what rabbits do. So it's kind of the bound between duty and the emotion, the shadow. So it's a full aspect of a person, even. Um,
yeah.
I
Then
like.
did you catch when he let her go? She flew off into the night sky. So you were saying that about Al. Did you catch that part of the story where she flew off into the night sky?
Yep. It was something that was. I could you could take it as did she escape and she was like, I'm out of here, bye. But I don't think with I don't think Bluebird held anything negative against anybody to leave. It was
Yeah,
more of continuing on with the path that Bluebird was doing, that she
yeah,
was on. So there was nothing held against anybody for doing so. And but in doing so, Coyote learned, and Coyote was actually starting to teach it at the end. We saw that too. But even the night sky, so even the shadow part of this, the intuitive part, was able to be freed instead of shackled, and to not be afraid of what is even in the dark, because most people are saying it's dark, it's got to be evil, and I have to ask people what's good, what's evil. That is up to perspective as well too.
yeah.
All
But I
right.
think you'll like this next one too. I really like this one. I took aspects of this one and another one that are similar, like similar to it, and made it into a. It's a pretty good story too.
All right. I will wait for you to read it then.
Yeah. This is the comrades. Mashtina the rabbit was a handsome young man and moreover of a kind disposition. One day when he was hunting, he heard a child crying bitterly and made all haste in the direction of the sound. On the further side of the wood, he found one tormenting a baby boy with whips and pinches, laughing heartily meanwhile and humming a mother's lullaby. What do you mean by abusing this innocent child? Demanded the rabbit. But the other one showed a smiling face and replied pleasantly, you do not know what you are talking about. The child is fretful, and I am merely trying to quiet him. Mastino was not deceived, for he had guessed that this was Double Face, who delights in teasing the helpless ones. Give the boy to me, he insisted, so that Double Face became angry and showed the other side of his face, which was black and scolding. The boy is mine, he declared, and if you say another word, I shall treat you as I have treated him. Upon this, Mastina fitted an arrow to the string and shot the wicked one through the heart. He then took the child on his arm and followed the trail to a small and poor teepee. There lived an old man and his wife, both of them blind and nearly helpless. For all their children and grandchildren, even to the smallest and last, had been lured away by the wicked double face. Ho, grandfather, grandmother, I have brought you back the child, exclaimed the rabbit as he stood in the doorway. But the poor blind old people had so often been deceived by the heartless double face that they no longer believed anything. Therefore they both cried out, "You liar! We don't believe a word you say. Go away. Go, get away with you. Do." Since they refused to take the child, and it was now almost night, the kind hearted young man wrapped the boy in his own blanket and lay down with him to sleep. The next morning, when he awoke, he found to his surprise that the child had grown up during the night and was now a handsome young man, so much like him that they might have been twin brothers. "My friend, we are now comrades for life," exclaimed the strange youth. "We shall each go different ways in the world, doing all the good we can, but if either is ever in need of help, let him call upon the other, and he will come instantly to his aid." The other agreed, and they set out in opposite directions. Not long after, the rabbit heard a loud groaning and crying as of a person in great pain. When he reached the spot, he found a man with his body wedged tightly in the forks of a tree, which the wind swayed to and fro. He could not by any means get away and was in great misery. "I will take your place, brother," exclaimed the generous young man, upon which the tree immediately parted and the tree bound was free. Mashtina took his place, and the tree closed upon him like a vice and pinched him severely. The pain was worse than he had supposed, but he bore it as long as he could without crying out. Sweat beaded his forehead, and his veins swelled to bursting. At last he could endure it no longer, and cried and called loudly upon his comrade to help him. At once the young man appeared and struck the tree so that it parted, and Mashtina was free. He kept on his journey until he spied a small wigwam quite by itself on the edge of a wood. Lifting the door flap, he saw no one but an old blind man who greeted him thankfully. "Ho, for my grandson! You see me, I am old and poor. All the day, all the day I see no one. When I wish to drink, this rawhide lariat leads me to the stream nearby. When I need dry sticks for my fire, I follow this other rope and feel my way among the trees. I have food enough, for these bags are packed with dried meat for my use. But alas, my grandson, I am all alone here, and I am blind." "Take my eyes, grandfather," at once exclaimed the kind-hearted young man. "You shall go where you will, and I will remain here in your place." "Ho, ho, my grandson, you are very good," replied the old man, and he gladly took the eyes of the rabbit and went out into the world. The youth stayed behind, but as he was hungry, he ate the dried meat in the bags. This made him very thirsty, so he took hold of the rawhide rope and followed it to the stream. But as he stooped to the brink, the rope broke and Mashtina fell in. The water was cold and the bank slippery, but after a hard struggle he got out again and made his way back to the teepee, dripping wet and very miserable. Wishing to make a fire and dry his clothes, he seized the other rope and went to the woods for sticks. However, when he began to gather the sticks, he lost the rope, and being quite blind, he did nothing but stumble over fallen logs and bruise himself among the trunks of trees, and scratch his face among the briars and brambles, until at last he could bear it no longer, and cried out to his comrade to come to his aid. Instantly the youth appeared and gave him his eyes, saying at the same time, "Friend, be not so rash in future. It is right to help those who are in trouble, but you must also consider whether you are able to hold out to the end."
Also, a very good story. Thank you. I'm what I can glean from the story is as you said at the end, um, it's okay to help people, but how much are you giving that you are not able to at least even take care of yourself? So,
Yeah.
um, but also a matter on perspective with, again, you had the baby in the beginning, and he was, what was he doing? He was actually using little pinches and whips on him, which would be the comrade to be able to understand what is going on. As it's reflected in the story with the wood coming over and pinching and gripping him. So all of
Yeah.
these things are very reflective back onto itself. Um, Again, it's in the we have the right way. Again, we have the compassion to help most people do. They want to, but are they doing it in the correct way? Are you doing it in a way that isn't going to self-sacrifice? Even that which is stuck in the tree is that would be the hangman in tarot, which is the sacrifice, which is the one that is being sacrificed in that tree space. Are we willing to be the martyr in that story? There's a way
Yeah.
that you can help people without having to chop off your arms and legs.
Yeah. Because most of the time most of the time people give so much that they start losing parts of themselves in order to like build up somebody else. You're taking pieces of yourself from you and putting it towards somebody else. So you're actually losing parts of you in order to construct somebody or make somebody a stronger person.
Yeah, and going in one step, like to equate even in one step, like a lot of whatever even the 3D story that I've gone through is again giving out to a point where you kind of crippled yourself in that. Um, but also down to, I know a lot of people asked about energy healing, is when you're healing somebody, which healing is actually, even karma isn't bad, it's the learning process. The healing is also the learning process because then you learn how to heal yourself. But if you just give somebody the ability to be healed and they never learn the lesson, they go back and do it again, then you're not actually helping that person. You're just robbing them or enabling them of the experience. You're enabling them to continue on in the way they are, and you're robbing them of the experience to learn.
Yeah.
So, and in which case, like you said, you're giving more of yourself piece by piece. You're pouring it out without actually securing yourself to be okay in the process, even in just a 3D sense. I think in a spiritual sense, it's a little different because, like you said, healing, you're basically healing somebody, giving them unconditional love. You're pouring it into them, and it's unlimited. But when it becomes a habit or detrimental, as you see in the story, it progresses into a habit of let me help you, let me help you. And then you're left with something that your 3D is now in a way crippled. Your 3D life, your 3D experience, what you're living in your environment.
Yeah.
So, I do. And that is a good story, and I thank you for picking that one. That's a good one.
I always like that story.
So, okay,
There
go ahead.
there was a time where I could almost tell that story word for word, but I haven't read it in like forever, but yeah.
You have a lot of you have a lot of stories, let me tell you. Thank God you have another book coming out because you do. You have a lot of stories. And they do teach, and again, even the perspective wise, and it is very much pertaining to things that we're experiencing today or what people are going through today. So it is a learning process. We all are here in a way to learn. Whether people see it and choose to see it as something that is more hellish or heavenish is up to them. It's up to their perspective of how they're viewing it. It's also up to their choices in it. So choices have consequences, and understanding what those consequences are before you make the choice, which is
Yeah.
also in that story. Understanding the consequences before you make the choice. Um,
Yeah, bros. Don't be getting stuck between the tree and having it pinch you.
pinch me, am I awake or still asleep? So, okay, so with these stories, and we'll do another 4 in the next one, I would like to, I mean, if you'd want to, whenever you say you're free whenever. So if anybody's listening, go, Chief is free at whenever, well, most of the time, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
Um, And so we can do a story time. I'm going to leave it open to comments at the bottom. It'll be in YouTube, it'll be on Facebook. We will figure out how to do this as an event, maybe right directly through Facebook, but that is also dependent on a person's Wi-Fi and how that goes through, if it's strong enough so that the live doesn't get cut off. But we'll
Yeah.
figure out, because I think a live would be a good option. We can have people come in and then they can sit and listen and then walk around however they are in their daily life, and then also supply comments. If there's anybody that is coming in listening, if you'd like to comment on a story, if you'd like to come in, you can look at any one of the Discords. I will put the links in the bottom, and you can pick a story for the next story time. If not, we will continue. We can pick four for the next one, and do these, I don't know, maybe once, twice a week. We'll figure it out. And
Hmm.
in conjunction with whatever lives that we have going on for readings or whatnot and whatever else. So your book I will put in the description box as well, and where you can find it at. I'll put any of the links in there, and I want to thank you for allowing me to hear four of the stories that are important, and I'll ask people what they think and what they perceive from it in here. Anything that you want to close with?
No, thank you for listening. And it's always nice to have somebody to talk to other than myself, reading it to myself.
I do enjoy them. It's art. Again, my tree arts and prints, so it is art. All of it is art. And actually, I think I read it to you yesterday. I want to read something to give a little bit of perspective. It was something that was posted probably on Facebook before we close out. So somebody had posted, I think everyone whose response to financial struggles of an artist is, well, you should have gone into tech or something useful. That they should have to go through, and so because of that mentality to do something useful. So I would ask or implore, and this person did, that those people that are saying that you should have gone into tech or something useful, you should go. You should have to go 30 days with no reading, no TV, no movies, no music visits, no video games, no theater, and have art stripped from all of their experiences. No music in restaurants, at sporting events, bars, stores, nothing. No audiobooks or podcasts or music on their commute. No books even, because even that is a form of art. After 30 days deprived of all contribution of artist. I would be interested to know if anyone would still say artists were drains on society and unworthy of life, because the stories are important, the art is important, the music is important, the perspectives are important, because that is culture, that is learning, that is wisdom, that is creativity, which is a state of being. So I'm going to leave that as a closing statement so that people can reflect on before you sit and judge what is, and again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, before you sit and judge a person who is contributing in a way that is bringing beauty into this world. They're bringing perspective. Maybe think of how much of that is actually in our world. So, all right, thank you, Chief, and I'm going to say on to the next story time.